Tom Horn claims that he had a vision in which he came face to face with God. After that vision, he was shown several prophecies that he claims came true. We're not going to go into prophecy here, although we will be looking at it in a future episode, but we are going to briefly go over one of his alleged prophecies that relies heavily on conspiracy thinking. One of these visions that allegedly took place in the form of a dream was that of an asteroid impact on Earth in the year 2029. In his dream, he was stood on top of a mountain and witnessed the impact, a second impact caused by a displaced part of the asteroid, and the aftermath. He claims that upon waking from his dream, he was spoken to by a mysterious voice that gave him a single word, Apophis, which he later found out was the name of the asteroid he had dreamed about. He has conveniently detailed this for us in his book, The Wormwood Prophecy. Okay, so we've got the basic narrative. Man thinks he can tell the future, has a dream about an asteroid hitting the Earth, and claims that he is given the name of the asteroid. We could do an episode of this show right there. Right, before we move on, let's talk a bit about Apophis. Solarsystem.nasa.gov tells us that asteroid 99942 Apophis is a near-Earth asteroid more than 1,000 feet, over 300 meters in size, that will harmlessly pass close to the Earth on April the 13th, 2029. When it was discovered in 2004, the asteroid caused a stir because initial calculations indicated a small possibility it would impact the Earth in 2029. After searching through some older astronomical images, scientists ruled out the possibility of a 2029 impact. It's now predicted the asteroid will safely pass about 19,800 miles or 31,900 kilometers from our planet's surface. So there is an asteroid called Apophis, and it is due a flyby of Earth in 2029. Just for clarification, for the sake of this inquiry, we're not concerning ourselves with the authenticity of Tom Horn's claim that he received this information in a dream. But, and this is an important part, scientists agree that the asteroid will not impact the Earth on that date. So that's the end of it, surely. Tom Horn can rest easy knowing that he had a suspicion, that being that the asteroid Apophis would impact the Earth in 2029, and he's investigated it, and the experts in the relevant field have shown that his suspicion has no support. Chalk it up as a mistake and move on. Well, no, not exactly. What actually happened is this. Initial observations showed that the asteroid was considered to have a probability of up to 2.7% of hitting either the Earth or the Moon in April 2029. This was later revised after further observations of older astronomical images in 2006 to say there was a minuscule chance of impact in April 2036 if the asteroid passed through a small gravitational keyhole approximately 800 meters wide. In 2013, further revisions ruled out a 2036 impact altogether. So, pretty straightforward. As is often the case in science, data was measured, and as more data became available, refinements were made. There's no mystery, no need for speculation, and the information is widely available to anyone who's interested. Well, not according to Tom Horn. Not for him the subtleties of data refinement. His opinion is that the reason the asteroid was taken off the NASA watch list was because of a cover-up. So his suspicion was investigated, the evidence of that suspicion found wanting, and now we have the extra layer of affirming the original idea with further erroneous thinking. So here is where the runaway train comes into play. Remember I said that this further erroneous thinking forms a closed belief system? Well, I took the liberty of doing a bit of research into these claims and investigated just one of the people that Tom Horn cites as accused NASA of being part of this cover-up. And guess what? They're not. Horn claims that Nathan Myhrvold, ex-CTO of Microsoft, has accused NASA of an absolute cover-up in a paper he had published. Now I've looked for this paper and cannot find it, but I have found a response to it, which I've linked in the description below. And I've read no less than 5 different news articles about the paper, and I haven't found a single mention of Nathan Myhrvold accusing NASA of a cover-up. If you are interested what the paper actually accuses NASA of, it is bad statistics on asteroid size, nothing to do with the cover-up regarding Apophis hitting the Earth. So it seems, on this point at least, Horn's bias is clouding his judgment, and he's interpreting things that have nothing to do with his claim as confirming it. This is a prime example of conspiracy theory thinking. Horn claims he did research regarding his dream. The research doesn't back up the claim, and yet not only does the claim stand, but the research is interpreted as reinforcing the claim. Examples of bias can be found throughout his claims, all there to reinforce his original, erroneous idea. He claims that in the Bible, Luke speaks of the signs and the asteroids, and cites Luke 21:25-26 to evidence this. But Luke doesn't mention asteroids in this verse at all. What he actually says is, there will be signs in the sun, the moon and the stars, and on the earth distress among nations, confused by the roaring of the sea and the waves. People will faint from fear and foreboding of what is coming upon the world, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. This all reinforces the original claim in the face of all the evidence, and Horn goes one step further by creating for himself a win-win situation, by stating that if people turn to God before the appointed time, then in fact God will avert the asteroid from an impact with Earth. So Tom Horn has created for himself a perfect, insular, unfalsifiable scenario where if the asteroid hits, his prophecy was correct, and if the asteroid doesn't, then he can excuse himself from being wrong. This is the effect that conspiracy theories have. The truth of any given situation is guarded against with a shield of irrational thinking.